Lincoln objected vehemently to such characterizations. "These are villainous aspersions," she wrote of a later case. "Mr. L. has neither brother nor sister, aunt or uncle, and only a few third cousins, no nearer ones. That clears him entirely as to any connection." Technically, she was right. With no brothers or sisters, with a mother who had died early, and a father with whom he was never close, Mr. L. was unusually alone in the world. But in pointing all this out, Mary had only cinched the world's case. If the Todds weren't Lincoln's family, then who was? And Lincoln was good to his family. Worried that the war would divide them, he had offered political and military positions to many of the Todd males, some of whom had rejected the offers and instead joined the Confederacy. Even then he did not turn his back on them. Over the course of the war he wrote multiple passes for various rebel Todds to come north, and on one occasion allowed Emily Todd, the wife of a slain Confederate general, to stay in the White House, despite the ensuing scandal. The Todds became for Lincoln the emblematic family of the war. His attempt to keep them together paralleled his larger struggle to keep the national family together. From the Todds he learned much of what he knew about family. Through the Todds he experienced many of the agonies of a family divided by war and shattered by grief. In their grief, the Todds were not always as good to Lincoln. Even before the Civil War he was sued and slandered by Todds. Some of them disliked him because they thought he would never amount to anything, and then disliked him even more when he did. During the Civil War things got progressively worse, sometimes innocently, often on purpose. A few members of the Southern wing of the family waged psychological war on the White House and used their connection to assail and scandalize its occupants. For the entirety of his presidency, Lincoln had to live down one after another humiliation at Todd hands. Taken as a clan, then, the Todds were not always very nice. They could be pampered and prideful. They could be quick-tempered and vain. They made grudges easily, and they held them long. They were often preoccupied with the surfaces of things and insensitive to the substance. Mary Lincoln once described her sister Anne as malicious, miserable, false, wrathful, and vindictive. Glancing over the list, Anne recognized the traits instantly. Mary was writing about herself, she responded coolly. Sister Elodie was more self-aware, though no less critical. Above all, she warned her fiancé, "I am a Todd, and some of these days you may be unfortunate enough to find out what they are." Of course, with his gift for language, it was Lincoln himself who most pithily lampooned the pretensions of his wife's family. 1D was good enough for God, he quipped, but not for the Todds. The Todds suffered for their sins, however. Before the war, as North drifted from South, the Todds drifted from one another. The older sisters moved one by one to Springfield. The younger brothers moved one by one to New Orleans. The rest of the siblings remained in a Kentucky that began its career as a Western state and ended it as a Southern one. Thus, by the time Lincoln was elected, the Todds found themselves strung across the nation's great divide. Their experience of the war would be an emotional mess. But it was a mess on a grand scale. The Todds were everywhere in the war. They were present at Lincoln's inaugural. They were present at Jefferson Davis's inaugural. They were present at most of the war's major engagements, from Bull Run and Shiloh to Gettysburg, Vicksburg, and more. And they paid the price for their participation. Brother Sam was shot through the gut and died at Shiloh. Brother Alec was killed in a friendly fire incident outside Baton Rouge. Hardin Helm, Emily Todd's husband, was shot off his horse and died at Chickamauga. Abraham Lincoln, Mary Todd's husband, was shot in the back of the head at Ford's Theater. As a family, the Todds lived the war in all its drama, division, confusion.